some Integra content for you. First thing is jump start it because the battery's dead. Actually, let me move the Type R first. All right, hopefully the car isn't tracking me. All right, you ready? You've seen the story on this car. I've owned this car 4 times. I got it back from Hawaii after building it, and it was an extensive build, an expensive tab, but I just had to have it back. Believe it or not, mainly for these 2 brackets here, because I made those in 2004. I made them by hand. It was all built for my yellow Type R, and then this piece here that's anodized black. Forged pistons, rods, full thread, valve train, the whole deal. Well, we're going to change the pistons to a high compression piston, basically make this an all motor setup and put it in a customer's car. Turbo kit, I had a friend that was going to buy it. His plans have changed, so the turbo kit is available. The 3-inch exhaust is available. I'll show you that. And basically, not so much the shell, but if you want to partner up on this, if you want to buy the car or go kind of shares on the car, supply a K24 engine, an all motor setup, something just different, something cool. You know me, I like building cars. Now this car's done, what am I gonna do with it? New paint, new seals, new brakes, new wheels, brand spanking new JDM headlights, new moldings, new glass, new red seat belts, Type R interior, brand new JDM steering wheel, UK Type R dash, brand new taillights, the last taillights that Acura had. I got them. Seals, so many little things. It's nice. To give you an idea, the paint cost 10 grand, $9,800. So we're gonna take the engine out and then maybe in this episode, take the engine apart, measure it, double check the bores, make sure the bores are correct, and then order the pistons, put the motor back together, probably put skunk tube cams in it, and an all-motor header. Basically make it a nice all-motor car. At the end of this video, I'm going to link the playlist from this car, but there's so many extra things went into this car, just like all of this titanium intercooler pipe, and the whole entire intercooler pipe is titanium. The exhaust is also a 3-inch titanium with a twin loop. That looks trick. Amazing. These brackets, like I mentioned, came off my Type R. I made these in 2004 and I built them all by hand. Spent a lot of time on these. Something that's just kind of special to me. It's the first car I got in a magazine. It was on my yellow Type R. I spent a lot of hours and time and money building that Type R, so that was kind of like one of those sentimental things. Made these basically out of just ends of axles. This is so when you remove the axle, you put it in, torque it, and it stops the hub bearing falling apart. When you roll the car around without axles in, you literally damage the bearings. This will allow it to be a roller. So 2008, this was my first magazine and I got the cover. This is a big deal to get the cover because from what I heard, it's all politics. Unless you spend a ton of money in the middle, you don't get a feature on the front. And I wasn't big enough to advertise and I didn't have really any product. So this was my Type R. If you haven't seen this magazine, it's very well detailed. So when I bought this car, it was a blown up motor with a supercharger. It was for a customer I built. His son used to drive it on the weekends without him knowing and blew it up. Anyway, I bought this. I traded it for my Evo, which I thought I liked, and I didn't. Some of this became a weight thing. I built this. I wanted to put a turbo kit on it. I wanted to originally make, 300-400 horsepower. It kind of got carried away. I was trying to offset the weight. So if you know about this car, it was lighter than the GSR. I think it was about 100 pounds lighter, and it had a lot of extra stiffening in it. So to make it lighter, they did a lot of extra things. I kind of took that concept and carried on with it. Right down to this intake manifold. This is a manifold I built, and I port matched it, flow tested it, but it was made of very, very thin material. I saved about 12 pounds just on the intake manifold. Then this carbon fiber tube obviously didn't weigh a whole lot. The downpipe was the thinnest material I could find at the time. I think it was 18 gauge when everybody else was using 16 gauge. Piping was aluminum. Well, then you start looking at, well, what else can I take weight out of? These brackets, I had a Excel sheet, hadn't written, of course, back in the day. Every single thing I made, I took a document of what it would weigh and what my new one weighed. And I think each bracket saved something small, like 2.5 pounds on the bottom, 2.5 pounds on the top. The bracket down here I showed you, I think it saved 7 pounds. All kinds of little things I could make out of aluminum, right down to the exhaust. The exhaust at the time was 4-inch aluminum, and I saved a ton of weight with that. But I remember building all this, I came within about 15 pounds of the factory weight Type R. Like I said, I built these by hand. I didn't have access to a CNC shop at the time, so I just drew it all out of cardboard and then sanded it and drilled it like this triangle. This is all drilled out and then filed. You know, it's just the old school way of doing it. It's how I learned to do it in my apprenticeship, and, you know, working with my dad in the garage. It was just, you know, building things from hand. Very cool. Remember the old teen EDFC? Pretty much ready for whatever you want to put in it, whether it's a K20, K24, maybe a nice 4-piston K24 with 350, 380 wheel. Be kind of a nice setup. I mean, look at this thing. Look how clean it is. We just took the transmission off. Look how clean it is in there. This is a Type R transmission, by the way. See the ink? That is a limited slip Integra Type R transmission. But look how clean everything is. Definitely had an easy life on it.
Yeah.
Dry, clean. So if you're wondering why we're taking the engine apart, we're going to change the compression. It's low compression right now. I believe it's 9-to-1. It has full thread valve train. The new owner is getting higher compression, so we're going to pull those pistons out, check everything, measure everything, hone it. Doesn't have any miles on it. Valves, keepers, and springs. So it'll be plenty good for the cams. Look how clean it is. I don't think it has any miles on it since we built this motor.
I think 3,000 is my guess.
I think that's about right. We're getting ready to put it on a stand. I just figured I'd take this apart so we could show you. There you go, first look at the pistons and sleeves. So this is a CSS block, stands for Cylinder Support System. It is essentially like a precision fit block guard. It's not like the old school ones where you used to hammer them in and distort everything. These guys cut out a shape in the water jackets and machine a block guard that's that exact same shape. So when it's installed, it doesn't change anything. It's installed, it's bored, honed, and then of course surfaced. Much stronger. People have made a ton of horsepower on these, and again, it's all for safety. We never made much power on this motor. I think it made 380 or something, but we wanted it to be safe. Always better to overbuild and underuse. So took all the oil pan bolts off. Sweet. Yeah, well, that's good because oil was definitely hanging out in there. You're replacing that. If you own a B series, you know a lot of things about these. They come from the factory leaking.
Off the number on the bottom of the piston, it's a CP.
They're only 246 bucks
each.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure it was like $500-600 for these pistons.
Yeah, it's 81.5 millimeter, -6 cc. It's probably like 9-to-1. Can be used in turbo supercharger and nitrous applications.
That's good. Yeah,
All kinds of applications.
I thought they were like 9.5, 9.8, something like that. Right now, I got it here. I just took the pistons and rods out. Everything looks good. Bearings are nice and clean. These pistons work out to about 9.3 to 1 with a GSR head and obviously a B18 crank. They're a little dirty right now because the motor is being sitting upside down, so all the oil has pretty much ran through into the head and got them all a little yucky, but they will clean up. Look at that, it's essentially the same piston. That's one of the reasons we're stuck to the same brand. You can see how much dome there is. Beauty of forced pistons, these have new pins and locks. They always come with new pins, even though they're probably fine. This has been a low horsepower motor, and here is your locks right here. I'll show you these when they're done. I'm not going to show you the side. I'm not going to show you the install because it's kind of boring. If you guys watch install videos, everybody does this. Everything cleaned up nice. Honing is pretty much on the money. Didn't take much to clean up. Rings all gapped. Nice. Again, kept the same piston, and it's got so little miles on it. And this was bored by CSS, so everything measured perfect. So that is done. Just waiting for the gaskets for the head. This is the intake manifold that was on it. The fuel rail, we did make a change to the fuel rail. This had an external regulator where it came out of here. These are 310s, but this is a good injector, very OE, super easy to tune, really, really clean running, and it costs a little bit more fuel for the additional power. But this is a pretty good package right here, 70mm throttle body and the Skunk Ultra manifold. So once gaskets are here, this can all go together. Cylinder head is on, and cams, I forgot to talk about this, but it has full Ferret valve train and Skunk 2 LMAs. The cams of choice are the Skunk 2 Tuner 2s. These are one of our favorite cams. Very OE plus, without a whole lot of valve train noise. They're not so noisy and really difficult to tune. And George had these in his car for what?
50,000 miles.
50,000 miles.
And sold the car, and it drove back to Colorado, and it went road racing for 3 years after that.
Yeah, and periodic inspection. We didn't have to really do valve lash. There wasn't any wear, which is something that we've seen on so many of the big cams. When you listen to them, they get kind of rattly, and then you pull it apart, and then you check it, and then you find out that the valve lash is off. And even at that point, they get noisy. So very, very OE friendly cams, a little bit more aggressive than Type R. Do require a little bit more compression to make a bit more power, but just one of the good cams that we like.
You know the difference between these and the Pros? The Tuner series has a much more aggressive VTEC crossover than the Pros. The Pros you adjust to where they're like a smooth crossover. The Tuners have an aggressive crossover.
Last time I did Pros, I think it was only like an 11-to-1 motor, and the VTEC crossover was terrible. We couldn't get a smooth crossover, and Skunk told us we want more compression.
Yeah, I think you said they were pretty high in the Pro range, weren't they?
Yeah, I think there were 2s or 3s, but
these are basically Pro 1s on the VTEC side.
Okay, good cam. That's what we're trying to say.
Yes.
We've used these. I think we've done probably 10 motors on these with this setup. Very, very good. So plenty of valve train. Let's put the intake manifold back on. Valve adjustments done. George is putting in fresh plugs, and he's going to be pretty close to take off the stand, put the clutch on, put the transmission back on it. You want to see what the motor is going in? Here it is. This got here early this morning. It was pitch black last time I was out here looking at this car with the customer. He just got it painted. He just got the suspension back together. Now he's here for us to do this. We're putting the engine in from the Red Integra, the one that you just watched us build, as well as a few other things. He's got a new rack to go in it. He has a new master and slave cylinder to put on. We're doing our twin loop exhaust, and it's going to be like very, very OE plus. Sorry, it's windy out here, but look how nice this is. Isn't it nice to see just a really nice, clean GSR? You're going to hear the nostalgic startup of a B-Series. Ready? All right. Oh, look at that. See, the ignition just went off? I've seen that happen before. You waggle the key, you turn it too far. It didn't do it that time. That's something to look out for. I see that occasionally on the older Hondas. Everything is pretty much loose now. This has the strangest looking bolt mount thing right there. Looks like something Volkswagen related. We don't have that fitting right there. So bolts out here, 3 out here. We're gonna drop the motor out. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I remember when these cars came out brand new, but it's been such a long time since I've seen one that was a full legit Integra GSR. It's super cool. So we're essentially just making an OEM plus build. This is the whole prepped motor we showed you in the first. We're putting that in, putting the engine harness off that. One quick PSA is whatever car you're using, use the engine harness out of that car. It will save you a lot of headaches, especially on a VTEC car. We're gonna do a new exhaust on this. We are gonna do a high flow catalytic converter. We wanna keep it clean and of course keep the smell down. We're also gonna show you that you can make power with a catalytic converter, something that I do with pretty much all of our cars, especially my own. But there is power in a catalytic converter. So he's already done suspension, he's done brakes, he's done some of the bushings. He did supply a new rack. We're gonna put a new rack in the car, a new power steering pump, a few little odds and ends, but other than that, that motor's going in. Intake, header, exhaust, break it in, put it on the dyno. Old rack over there. New rack. It was almost as hard to get out of the box as the rack was out the car.
Yeah, it's still on here. Like the plastic is through everything.
Putting the wiring harness on the motor. Nice thing is all the OEM plugs will fit. We're gonna put the distributor on from the other motor, which is an OBD1. The injectors were OBD1 injectors, but because we're putting S2000 injectors in there, I've got some OEM plugs, so everything's color coordinated. So I'm gonna put them on here, solder and heat shrink on there, so we have all the correct colors. Alternator already swapped his alternator over, so we have the OBD1 plugs on there. That way it's just a true plug and play. This is the cat we're using. It is a Jessie cat. We've used this a lot. High flow cat definitely does a good job. I'll show you the info. We get it from Stainless Bros, is the people that we buy it from. There's the info on it. A quick reminder, December 21st, don't forget the LHT Mega Meet. It's going to be at Quaker State. Look on our Facebook page for details, or just keep watching our videos. I'm going to keep plugging it. This is our checklist that you see us do all the time. If you're doing this in your garage, you're doing it for a business, whatever, I recommend doing this once you take the information from the customer and you have obviously the forms filled out and whatnot. This is just a nice, clear visual list so you can see what's going on. So he wants to do the JDI push to start. We need a power steering belt because the one belt that we have didn't fit, and the one that he had was saturated in oil from his power steering pump. We are going to do conventional motor oil. New rings require conventional. Don't put synthetic in there. It won't break in. It'll take forever. In fact, it might not even ever break in. We need a piece of 5/8 hose. We're out. This stuff is on his original list that we showed you earlier. Old axles, and we did replace his cap and rotor. He supplied it. Now this, if you guys are the OG Honda guys, you'll notice that almost every time you buy a cap, it doesn't fit your distributor. I can't tell you how frustrating it is. This might be the first distributor cap I've changed in so long where we just take it out the packet and it fits the distributor. So it is a 94, 95 Integra GSR motor, so I guess that was pretty easy to make sure it fit. But if you guys get my reference there, every time you buy one of these caps, it doesn't fit. So kind of like a nice surprise, putting it on and it just working. No power?
Yep.
All right, so it's got fluids. Just uploaded a map that should be good for these injectors. Still to build the intake. Everything is hooked up. We just want to hear it, run, check everything out. All right, you ready?
Yep.
This is the third car in a row I've been filming a new engine starting. Next one. No. I mean, there isn't anything out of whack. It's pretty straightforward. I didn't set the time in, but it should be close enough. Did you put the spark plug wires in the wrong way around?
I might have it. I don't think I put the distributor on.
I might have put the wires up backwards. Yeah. I put a whole cap on it. Okay, I think I might have flipped them around. 1, 3. Yeah, I think I might have flipped them around. It's been a long time. You know, old ignition wires don't do these anymore. Exactly. This is like, I would say it's before my time, but it's not. It's like where I started. All right, that might make a difference. Yeah. Bet the ignition turned off, didn't it?
It might have.
Did it go black?
No.
Try that again, because that's what it did on me when I first started. Oh. Can't blame it on that then. What else can it be? Put the injector wires on backwards. You know what? Bet you don't know what it is. Full bar map sensor. It's from the other one. This had 1000cc injectors in the turbo on it.
Oh, it's got the 4-bar.
There it is. Data 4-bar and... All right, I'm confident.
Guy across the street showing off. You hear him? He's revving his little shit up.
He has a car that runs. We don't.
I never pulled him over at one city.
Yeah. All right, I think we're good now. Hit it. Vent. 21 inches of vacuum, yo.
Nice.
I'm gonna run the power steering back and forth. Let it warm up a little bit and look it over. Can I give it a couple of blips? Hear the exhaust? Can't even hear the exhaust from back here. I've got a towel on my S2000 so I done. Yeah, that's pretty mellow. If you've never seen this valve cover before, Paul worked here. So Paul, Tom from corporate, when he worked here, he actually painted this valve cover to be like our tuning valve cover. It was mint yellow at the time. That was probably 20 years ago. Should have just left this valve cover off, knowing that we have to access the cam gears. Most tuners don't want to play with these because they're kind of a pain, but there is a little power to be found in cam gears, hence why they're adjustable. They're Golden Eagle cam gears. Once that is done, the cover can go on, the valve cover can go on, and it will stay put. Of course, whenever you tune this end, you got to tune this end. This is old school way, guys. You change this, it's connected to the distributor. You have to change the time at each time, so you stay at your baseline, so you're getting power from the cam gears, not from the time, and if not, you're false tuning. Let me tell you how jealous I used to be of the EG guys and the DC2 guys pulling their fuel pump out in a matter of minutes, when me with a CRX, it was like a half-day ordeal. Valve cover installed. Now you can see the gears nice and clearly. Nostalgic valve cover, nostalgic intake. It is on. We made a rubber mount there so it doesn't move. It's on an actual, you can't see it. It's pretty much ready to tune. We'll break it in a little bit more and we'll see what she's going to do. If it's centered there, it's 0. If that one is lined up, it's 1. If that one's lined up, it's 2. They are almost lined up. They're 0, aren't they? Oh, that's good. Good starting point. Ooh, I was close.
Yeah.
I'm within 5 degrees.
Oh, you need to be.
That's not bad. And all you do is you lick your finger and stick your finger in there, and then you're... All right, first run. See how close we are. Changeover right here. It went rich there. This is right, the VTEC changeover, but that's not bad. Close to 200 first run. Last piece of the puzzle was the JDI push to start that he wanted. I'm going to give you a quick demo because this is the newest version. We do have them in the store, but just so you can see how it works. So there is an ID card and these ID chips right here.
They have multiple things on their website too, like a leather fob. They have little stickers, like all kinds of stuff you can get. But this is what you get with the kit: is the 2 and the card. But you scan the card.
So what's nice, George was just saying, you can set the pins up so it starts like a factory car rather than the power to the ECU and fuel pump and crank and start all simultaneously. This one turns the ignition on, then to the next, basically like fuel pump.
Yeah, like when you would normally start your car, I guess like most of us do, you turn the key to on, you listen to the fuel pump, and then you start the car. So I've set the switches to where that's exactly what this does. So you just do that, and then it turns ECU on, primes the fuel pump, and then starts the car.
It's a little old school way of doing it. So many newer cars, you just hit the start button and it does its thing, but this runs and starts just like the old cars, so it's got that very familiar feel to it, and it's all included in the box. So let's get some outside shots of this car. Still something about one of the OG Hondas, the golden era Hondas as we call it. Nothing has the soul of an old Honda, especially with just a ripping VTEC like this. I mean, the VTEC doesn't engage, it cracks. I mean, it's like nothing, no new car has this. The Civic Type R, it doesn't have this. Ready? I mean, this is just where it's at. This thing, red line is at 8,900. We could put it wherever we wanted, just the chems and header don't make any power past there. But having that VTEC just engage and it rips, every gear is ready to go. I mean, it's just, it's just exciting. I can't explain it. You new guys, the new Honda guys, you have to experience something like this to know what I'm talking about. If your first Honda is a 10th gen or even a 9th gen, you're missing the whole Honda soul. And I say that owning a new Civic Type R. It doesn't have the soul of a Honda. This is it. This is what got me in the game. This is what's kept me excited for over 25 years of building Hondas. I opened LHT in 1996. I love it just as much as I did just for a time stamp. I moved to the US in 1993 today, October 31st. I landed in Orlando with 2 bags, my girlfriend, not a whole lot of money, and a whole lot of dreams. And let me tell you, this is what dreams are made of. Seriously,